Welcome to Dropping Dimes by Fast Break, an African-based basketball podcast where we have entertaining, thought-provoking, and unfiltered conversations on the game and the culture of basketball. Hi guys, welcome back to the Fast Break. This is a podcast that exists to promote the game of basketball in the country and the continent. Today, we have another installment of Dropping Dimes, which is the monthly series that we have where we interview basketball enthusiasts, athletes, personalities in the basketball space. And today, we have a very special guest. We have Zaire, middle names we see so Wade, who recently joined the Cape Town Tigers. So, as you guys can see, this is a very different setting. I never really record in my room, but we're about to get personal, right? And it doesn't really get more personal than myself in my bedroom. Zaire comfortable in his space. We're about to get to know him better. Welcome, Visi. So, can I call you Boo?
Yeah, that's my nickname. It's all good.
Do you know the meaning of your name?
Yeah, blessing. Or that's what they
Blessing.
told me. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into this interview. So, you actually, yeah, we know that you're a professional basketball player right now, but let's just take it back to where it all began, right?
Yeah.
You were, correct me if I'm wrong, you were born in Chicago.
Yeah, correct.
You were born in Chicago in the 2000s. And by then, the Bulls had a great heritage in basketball. You guys had 6 rings, Michael Jordan, it was still in the air. How were you first introduced to basketball?
Uh so it was kind of tricky. I was born in '02, and when I was born, everybody knows my dad got drafted to the Heat in '03. So now that I remember this, but we moved there, and I know that shortly after, maybe around the time I was like 5 or 6, I moved back to Chicago. So it was still pretty big, like you
Yeah.
said. And obviously just loving the game from being around it so much, seeing guys, like my dad, and then I think Derrick Rose was about to come into the league at that time, so it was just really it was really exciting in Chicago.
All right. And then when you started playing, like who was your favorite player? Or like when you first got introduced to the sport, like who was that player you enjoyed watching?
I really like Magic Johnson. I know it's weird, but I really like Magic Johnson.
Oh, we're the
Yeah.
same. Just by the way, sorry, we're the same. That's like my
Okay.
all-time favorite basketball player. Go on.
Yeah. No, I love Magic. I feel like I like on the court. I try to pass and do certain things like he does, make plays for my teammates. So it was him, and then short after, like Chris Paul, obviously my dad, but other guys like Chris Paul, things like that.
That is very interesting because you were born in 2002. Magic Johnson was like, his career was done by then. How were
Yeah.
you exposed to him?
Uh, you know, my dad's favorite player growing up was Jordan. So just that era, just being introduced to that era first. Obviously, I knew the current players around, but I always thought I was gonna be tall. It didn't work. I stopped. Yeah, but so I was like, dang, if I can be around the height of Magic 6'7", like that was my dream height. Then I was like, I want to play just like him.
All right, let's get into your career, right? You started in primary school, middle school, but let's touch on high school, right? You first started playing for Mount Carmel High School. Tell us about that experience, especially playing with your cousin.
Yeah. So that was in Chicago. That was my freshman year, and it was a good experience. That was a pivotal year as far as like how serious I was going to take basketball. And having my cousin Dada with me, it was just great. He was obviously from Chicago too, so just having somebody there that I could play with, who's obviously family, and just grow with each other on and off the court. It was really fun.
Okay, and then by the time in your freshman year, was your goal always to be a professional basketball player, or by then you were just playing because you enjoyed the game?
By my first, I definitely had aspirations to be a pro by then. I think it got a little more serious as far as like I knew college was the next step after that. So just at the time I thought college would be the next step after that. But just trying to work hard and change my mindset from it being a fun game to a little more serious.
Okay, okay. And then shortly after that, you transferred to Florida, right? You
Yeah.
Yes. So you played for American Heritage High School there.
Mhm.
So obviously, this is such a shift in culture from Chicago to Miami. Yes, they are both metropolitan cities, but how was the change in that? Just the lifestyle before we touch on the basketball.
Um, like Chicago, Miami were the two, cities that I went back and forth from growing up. So once I got old enough to really enjoy it, I would say, like the weather and just all that stuff, moving back was definitely a change for me. I had to like kind of get readjusted. It was good to, get back to what I call home. I know I was born in Chicago, but I call Miami home just because I have a lot of memories there. So it was good to go back home at the time and play for Heritage. I remember those were good years right there.
Okay, okay. And then what, or like in terms of basketball, right? The basketball, obviously, you had your change in teammates, change in coaches. What type of changes did you learn from Florida?
Um, well, going to three different high schools out of 4 years, or if you count prep, 4 out of 5. It's
Hold on, hold on. Please name the high schools because I only mentioned Mount Carmel and American Heritage. Which one did I
well,
skip?
so I say 5 because I did an extra year after my senior year in prep, like a prep school,
Okay.
and so I was at Mount Carmel freshman year, like you said, and then I was at Heritage for the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's 2 schools, and then I went to Sierra Canyon for my senior year in LA, and then I went to Brewster. So that's
Okay.
4. Yeah,
We'll touch on that. We'll touch on that.
yeah.
Yes. So by the time you got to American Heritage, right?
Yeah.
A whole different team, different coach. What type of style is there?
Florida's a little, they definitely play hard, kind of similar to Chicago, I guess if you could look at it, but it's definitely a different style because when I got there, I was put more in a position to, be the point guard on the team rather than when I was in Chicago. I was a freshman trying to learn and do things like that. So especially my junior year at Heritage, it was definitely an adjustment changing. I had better teammates at that point to play with. Still my cousin, we played together. So just getting used to that whole environment. It was a lot more competitive, I felt like, because I was in the game so much. So even getting used to the competitiveness that was out there in Florida, you know.
Okay. So then you know you told me that your favorite basketball player is Magic Johnson. So obviously your role is a point guard. That's like the role that you are most accustomed to. And you said that you wish you were taller, but unfortunately, unfortunately, like you did, hit like that growth, like that limit, basically the plateau.
Hmm.
So then how is it, right? Because you did play as a two guard in Mount Carmel, and then now you had to focus um in American Heritage, you had to focus on the point guard. How was that transition from your first instinct when touching the ball to shoot is to attack and shoot, but now is actually to assist and make your teammates better?
Well, the adjustment, I guess it kind of came pretty natural just because, like I said, the guys I grew up watching, that was their position. Even Chris Paul is one of the greatest point guards ever. So I feel like I always had the point guard mindset. I always had a leadership mindset as well. Point guard has to be a leader. And once I started to, let my IQ take over the game, at that point, passing became like my niche. That it's something that I could do that I feel like when I'm on the court, if there's one person maybe, but nobody really can do better than me. So I feel like that was something I had to just practice on, craft it, and they say you need to be great at one thing and good at the other. So I just wanted to be great at something.
I like that. You also mentioned that you allowed your IQ to take over. For young point guards looking at you right now, how would you say, or how would you describe, or how would you actually advise them to grow their IQ?
Man, I would just say watch the game. Study the game. Me personally, when I was growing up, it was a lot of like either watching basketball or even like playing. I know everybody sits on the video games, but even if you like play the game in a different way though, not just to play it, like they have a lot of tactics and strategies that you can learn. It's like it's just crazy because you can implement it in real life. But besides that, I would just say surround yourself with people who know the game as well. That's only going to help you. If they're constantly talking about it or studying about it, then your IQ is only bound to grow.
Okay, I like that. I like that. And then after your time at American Heritage, you did mention that you made the move to Los Angeles. It was announced that you'll be playing for, I don't know how to pronounce the name. Is it Sierra Canyon?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was an announcement that you're going to play for Sierra Canyon for the season, for the 2019-2020 season.
Hmm.
What informed that decision?
Well, yeah, that was a tough decision right there.
Really?
Yeah, because I was flowing so much of heritage, and I had like my kind of thing going, however you want to call it, and then just to move there to essentially have to take a step back and play with all these other guys who had their own thing going at their school was kind of an adjustment. But the decision that went into it was basically just my dad sitting there and saying, "Hey, you did real good last year, your junior year at American Heritage, and I think it's time for you to go play against or go play somewhere that you'll be seeing more and more competition and things like that, and get out your comfort zone." And I'm not gonna say I sat here. I'm not gonna sit here and say I agreed with it at first, but I definitely think to this day it was the right choice in the long term. It helped me become a better man. But once we went, it started off great. Everything started off cool. Going out there to LA, first time living there, playing with Brownie and BJ, Z, Mari, a few of those guys like that. It was all cool. And then, as everybody talks about, the injury was kind of the thing that slowed that process down when I hurt myself.
Yeah. So you did mention that your dad informed you that it would be good to play for a school that has so much eyes on them, right? Because this is a school that most celebrities went to, basketball players also went to. How did that feel being part of that heritage?
Oh man, I feel like I feel like 10, 20 years from now, that's gonna be a
Mhm.
real dope thing to look back on because how many of those guys are gonna be successful in the same field, and I think that's very rare to see. So I think that's why it's so special. And it was genuine. Like we all had a genuine friendship off the court. I know things, whatever on the court, but off the court we all bonded. We all bonded. It was nothing like there was no team camaraderie or anything like that. You know, people may thought it would have been with what they view as like our egos clash, whatever. But it was none of that.
That's good, and that's what you want, right? Your basketball teammates to be like you want them to be your friends outside of basketball, so that we know each other come game time. You
Right.
know what this one likes, what this one doesn't like. You know that this guy's not angry; he's just like that. For example,
Yep.
you get to know each other better. I like that. So, with the media attention that you guys got, and that the school just generally brings, did that
Mhm.
affect your game positively or negatively?
I think when I was playing, I think it affected positively. I mean, I was doing real good. I even I don't know if they have it in like international places in general, not even just
Mhm.
South Africa, but in America they have like rankings, and they like give you stars and all this stuff. And I remember jumping up from at the time that I arrived at Sierra Can, I was a 3 star out of 5, and then after a few games I moved up to a 4. So it was going real good as far as my basketball, progress and things like that. But it didn't take long until I get hurt. I think it was like a 5 games in or something like that.
Would you say the media was kind to you when you got injured and obviously you couldn't play?
No, those a lot of that media ain't kind to me at all, but they definitely weren't there.
Really?
Yeah, it was a
Sorry
lot of.
about that. Sorry
Ah, nah,
about
you
that.
good, you good.
And then after that, you made a very interesting decision, right? A very unpopular decision. When
Hmm.
most people were like, okay, let's think about college, you were like, no, I'm going to go to Brewster Academy, which is also a high school, right? Or is it just an academy?
It's a prep school / high school, both. Yep.
Okay. So you had, and like, just to paint the picture, you had scholarship offers, right? Nebraska wanted you. There were so many
Yeah.
schools that wanted you, and you were like, no, I'm not doing college. I'm gonna go to Brewster Academy. Why?
That was that was a man. That's a decision that still don't regret to this day. I think that COVID was the reason why it didn't pan out maybe the way we wanted it to, but that decision was just basically like, okay, look, the last year that I had was my senior year technically, and that's the last time people saw me. I really didn't, like I said, I got hurt. My coach didn't want to play me anymore after, so they really didn't get to see a full season of me since the year before at Heritage, and
Hmm.
that was kind of the question. Like, okay, maybe we can. Even the schools I had offers from was still questioning, like, maybe to bring me in and kind of grow me into whatever, maybe red shirt. And I was just like, man, if I can go back 1 year, like, I know it's not popular, but if I can go back and have a full season and dominate, I feel like I can go right up into college on a bigger role as a freshman instead of just coming in as another freshman. So that was the plan, basically, to go to Brewster. They're one of the best prep schools in the states by
Yeah.
far, and the coach, coach, I love Coach, man. Both of the coaches, Coach Lee, they both helped me. Coach Lee and Coach Smith, they both helped me to get college looks. We didn't have any official games because that's the year COVID hit, so it was kind of all like bad timing. But I even had conversations with South Carolina, like big schools, even from just practice film that I was looking
Yeah.
at before we decided to not go to college. So it all worked out.
Okay. Okay. And then from Sierra Canyon, right? You wait. So in Brewster, were you still playing point guard?
Yeah,
So, and Sierra Canyon, what position were you?
I was when I played, I was the point guard. Yeah.
So you've always been point guard. Like nothing changed where you had to be like a true guard as well.
Well, coming up, yeah. Like once you hit the pro years, yeah, but not then.
Okay, okay. So then what style did you learn there by Brewster?
Man, Brewster style was it was kind of college oriented. I feel like they had, like I said, the coach was so great and experienced. I feel like he kind of gave us a little bit of that college feel just because that was going to be the next step after. So I feel like that was the difference when I was over there at Sierra and especially Heritage. It was more freelance play. Like obviously there was plays, but it was just kind of like if you could play, you could play. Versus like this was more strategy, schemes, things like that he was using.
I like that. It was more structured and it prepped you for college.
Right.
Yeah, so like here in South Africa, it's been an ongoing problem where high school coaches, right? They either have to go two ways, right? They either have to sacrifice winning in high school to prep students to go to university and play well there, or to actually win in high school, but then it doesn't really help the players that are playing. Is it the same there in the United States?
You're saying for high school coaches, right?
100%.
For high school coaches, it's kind of like if you're winning state championships, if you're doing things like that, sending guys off to colleges who then become successful, I feel like that's when you move up to be a coach at the next level in college. But there's some coaches who like my long term coach, Coach Eric Newsom. He's a great coach, but he could be an NBA coach, with the level that he has. But he has his own prep school, his own prep team that he's developing. So he right now he's staying in that field, although he can move whenever. And same like with Coach Smith, he could be a college coach or NBA coach of some sort if he wanted to with his expertise. He just really is like invested into Brewster and staying there and helping that program continue to grow.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I
Yeah,
like that. Now let's get into your professional career because you didn't go to college.
I did. I
Another
did.
very interesting decision. You went to high school and you were like, you know what, it's fine. I would like I would like to play professional basketball. Before we actually get into your team, what made you decide not to go to college?
I feel like just after talking to all the coaches, reviewing it all back with my family, we just came to the conclusion that like some of the coaches had good intentions for sure.
Hmm.
Especially like I said, if everything would have worked out with Coach Frank Martin at South Carolina, great guy. But like we just felt like as a developmental piece that I would need to be, that I needed to take that next step, no matter what nobody thought at the time, especially. Um, but college, they kind of they watch over you, they take care of you. I feel like me and my dad were talking like you just need to grow as a man as well. So just being in the pros, they kind of leave you on your own a little bit more. You got to figure things out, show up here. And at the end of the day, it was either gonna make or break me. Like that year, I could have been like, "This isn't for me. I'm done." It didn't go the way I wanted it to, whatever. So I feel like that was another. It was a big test to see if I can get through the pro, struggles that come with that.
So growing up, you've obviously had a lot of media attention growing up, like it's your life, you're used to it. But how was it that time where you decided to leave college and, go for the G League? How's the media attention around that time for you?
Around that time, the media they always the same with me over there, but uh, I would say it was a lot of surprised people. They were just like, "Oh wow, taking the jump,"
Mm,
and I think they all assumed that my goal was to be a instant first game success as far as like jump from college to the G League right to the NBA versus like jump and develop and keep developing to reach my goal in the NBA eventually. And I think that's where the misconfusion was or still is with some people who write me off. Um, but we never thought about the G League until Brewster was all the way done with. Like it wasn't a plan. I know everybody was saying,
mm.
"Oh, his dad planned it. He's gonna put him on his team the whole time," but it wasn't like that. We just was trying to see the opportunities. Fun fact, I'll tell you now. I don't think nobody knows this. I don't think nobody knows this. So I can say it now though. But I was supposed to be a practice player on the Stars. Like that was the whole thing. I was just supposed
Really?
to go, yeah, and be a practice player. Like not travel for the games, even just practice and scrimmage and go through that year as kind of my red shirt year as a freshman would have been in college. So
Yeah.
once I got there, like I agreed to that. I was like, you know what? I think that would be better for me because I'll be playing against pros versus just basically doing the same thing, but in college, maybe getting a few minutes as like whatever they
Yeah.
was gonna do, you know. So when I got there, they were just, they liked how I was playing, and with the whole contract, some things, it just made sense to put me on as an official player for that season. So that was one thing people didn't know. I kind of, everybody was saying I didn't earn my spot, but I wasn't even supposed to have that spot that I got. So I don't know how else you want to look at it. And then another thing was my minutes. They obviously fluctuated throughout the season, but at first, coach came to me like, "Hey, young fella, we might put you in for a little bit. We might not. I just want you to be prepared." And I was already thinking back in my mind, I wasn't gonna even be on the team. So I was like, cool. And lead two, I ended up starting one game, played 40 minutes. Like, so I feel like as my work ethic continue, I got more opportunities over there.
I like that. I like that. Is there any sort of pressure because of who you are and who your family is in the professional
Um,
level?
I mean, I don't like to call it pressure. I like to, but I think that's the appropriate word as far as like what people are trying to put on me. Um, I think at the end of the day, it's just expectation. Like, and I guess it complements how great my dad was for
Yeah.
sure. Because I don't think they would be on me this much if it was just anybody else. So the fact that he carries so much weight in that they're worried about me, trying to make me be just like him, especially on the court. It's I try to first look at that as a compliment to our family, and then two, look at it like I tell my teammates here in Cape Town Tigers, that I just play the cards that I was dealt with. Like at the end of the day, if we were playing the card game and they hand
Yeah.
you You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to play that hand. You can't ask for a new hand if you look at it and you don't like it. So I was born into this position. So after a while, you just gotta take it and give it,
Okay. I like that. I like that. Very positive outlook. Now let's talk about Salt Lake City. We'll get into the team, the stars. Let's talk about that city. You grew up in Chicago, Florida. You played in Los Angeles. These are very metropolitan cities. But then you decided, actually, you moved to Utah. That is such a different lifestyle from what you're used to. Did that like affect your game, or were there any fears because you're so used to the city life?
Nah, and I think because Brewster was in New Hampshire, so that's even more of like a location that you would never go to. So being
Yeah.
there, kind of like the year right before, that kind of prepped me to be like, we called it in the middle of nowhere. Like, that was just in the middle of nowhere over there. It's cold, not a lot to do besides focus on hoops. So being in Utah, it was kind of the same. It's definitely more of a city than like New Hampshire was, but just really having to zero in and lock in. I'm glad I had. I mean, Blake. Blake was there.
Yeah.
That was his first year. He had a job with the Utah Jazz, so he was there with me. So I had somebody like a familiar face, so I wasn't like alone in that sense. But it was definitely new. The past, like, besides New Hampshire, the years before that, I was living in the sun for a few years, so had to get used to that cold again.
Okay, okay. Wait, did you mention that Blake was in the Utah Jazz?
Yeah, he had a job.
Really? That's very
Yeah,
impressive. Shout
he.
out. Oh, that's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
impressive.
Shout out Blake. Shout out Blake. He graduated from Syracuse, and then
Yeah.
yeah. Then after that, he got him a job. With the Jazz, and now he's out here with us in South Africa.
So where did you guys meet?
I met Blake when I was like 8 years old,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, I met him the day I found out I was moving to Miami for good. Told you I lived in Chicago like before that, so
Yeah.
around like 8 or 9, I would say like 9, like 8 or 9 years old. I remember my dad. I thought it was I was going back and forth. Everybody, I don't gotta hide. Everybody knows um, that my parents aren't together no more.
Mm-hmm.
So just going back and forth between Chicago and Miami before the whole court thing had got settled. Once I finally figured out what was happening, I moved to Miami. That was the same day, literally, that I met Blake. I'll never forget. I was not in a good mood that day. Like, me and him laughed about it. I was like, bro, I was not in a good mood that day, and you came smiling and shit because he lives on the same street. So
Yeah.
he was just like, basically like, yo, see you moving in. Miami talks a lot, so they all knew we was getting a new house down there. So they was like, see you moving in, and you feel me? Just said you need a friend. Blake, no, he just turned 23. He was probably like 10 or 11 at the time, so we were both around the same age.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's very interesting. For those of you who don't know, Blake is I met Blake as Zaire Wade's. So he told me that he does your videos, right, on Instagram. But
Yeah,
now that you're talking about him, I think that's your childhood friend. That's like
yeah,
your ultimate friend. That's so
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. One of my
That
best friends for sure.
okay, okay, okay. Now let's talk about last year, right? Last year was not one of your best years because you suffered a season-ending injury. How? Please take us through that time. How was that when you got injured, and then when you were told that it will take an entire season for you to recover?
For the G League, right?
100%.
Yeah. So, like I said, I started to play more. So let's see, around my birthday, like last February, that G League year in February, I had just turned 20, right? Yeah, I just turned 20 at the time, and I started playing more. I had the game winning block on my birthday. Started doing good stuff. I was in late game situations. Like, I mean, if you had the game winning block, that means you had to be in at the very end. So, like, I was, what I'm saying, just being in. Coach trusting me, and then a few games after, I like to say it's because I wasn't used to playing so much at the time. They started to, like, and it's not their fault. It's nobody's fault. They started to ramp up my minutes, and one of the games I took like the wrong step on my knee, and I kind of just like buckled. And I remember going to get it looked at, and they were saying like, you could rush it back, but if you do, it's probably going to make it worse. The best thing to do is just sit out, get some rehab, recovery, and fortunately, the game it was only I think like 10 games left in the season at that time,
Yeah.
and our record wasn't the best. So I think our playoff hopes were out. I think that all went into the decision where I was like, okay, maybe it's best to sit. So we just, I was like, just sat from there to get ready for the next year.
So please clarify, what injury was this?
It was in my meniscus in my left knee.
And
I had something in my meniscus. I didn't like tear it, but it was just it was messed up in there.
okay, and then is that a similar injury to the one that you had in Sierra Canyon?
That one was a little worse. I tore three ligaments in my ankle.
Hectic.
Yeah, so
So,
that was a little worse. But I still can jump now. You see me jumping and dunking, so I'm good.
so when you're going through these injuries, right? It's definitely physical, but it does affect your mental health as well. How do you get through them?
If I was to say I did it alone, I'd be lying. So like my whole support team, starting with people like Blake, like um, man, like I'm lost for words just because of what they make me feel like I'm good no matter what. Like I'm still like they still love me if I'm hurt, if I'm dropping 30, if I'm not playing basketball, if I am. So I feel like having them around me first makes me comfortable. And as far as like, okay, I know these people, they really care about me and they really for me. So once they give me their advice and their 2 cents on, when I'm having my mental battles and mental struggles, I kind of tend to like, go to them and hear what they have to say before I like to talk to God alone. But I go to them first always, and just their encouragement and their presence alone just does enough for me to remember like, all right, I know you feeling like this right now, and people are saying this about you right now and whatever, but these are the people that you gotta like do it for, and it don't even necessarily mean like struggling wise do it for. Just do it for them as far as because they believe and I believe. So yeah,
I like how you have a strong circle around you,
yeah,
because that's what you need in times of, like support, or when you're starting to doubt yourself. Did you ever think that, especially with this injury, right? Did you ever think that, you know what, I think let me rather go to college, or let me just see this out? Let me just be patient. Let me see this out.
nah, it was just well at that point it was it was too. I think it was too late to go to college, even if I wanted to. I think that's
Really?
how it works. Yeah, like back in the States, it's like so
Mm-hmm.
once I signed the G League thing, that kind of just
It's done.
took away my rights. Yeah, so
Oh,
like there's people right now my age. Some of my friends are some sophomores, some juniors in college. Like so, I could be like I'm college age, but I can't go even right now. If I was like, yo, I'm trying to go to this school, they'd be like, nah, you can't. So I really didn't have that wasn't a choice. It was really more so about like if I was gonna s- keep playing basketball or not, right? Like if this is what my path was gonna continue to be at that point.
okay. Okay. Let's actually touch on college, because what you just mentioned is very interesting, right? And I've read, a few articles about the NCAA and the no agreement. You know that, right? I'm pretty sure you're aware of it.
Yeah,
So growing up as a high school player, for you and your teammates, you guys couldn't necessarily make money off of your name, image, or likeness, right?
yeah.
How do you feel about this new rule now?
Well, I'm mad I missed it because I I wasn't a part of that rule. But I mean, for those guys in college, I like it. I think it gives everybody. Well, first of all, it's a lot more that goes into it than what people think. Like I know one of my
Ooh,
friends was doing it, and you have to give like a certain amount uh, back to the school, a certain amount to this charity. You know what I'm
really?
saying? So it's not. Some people may see a report come out that this college athlete just signed a deal for $15,000 to $20,000, but it probably ain't the real full 15 to 20,000. Just like I guess anything, but um, I like it though. It gives younger people, especially kids in high school, who are like coming out with these big names and stuff, to be able to
Mm-hmm.
make some money at 17, 18. That's like legal, like in a legit way.
Yeah.
So for me, I missed that, but luckily, I once I turned pro, I got with an agency and they helped me out with them. So
And
yeah,
then another question out of interest sake, why do actually I know why, right? Because better facilities. I wanted to ask you, why do top prospects in high school sign up for the top universities instead of HBCUs, especially top African American prospects, right? And I get it, it's because of media. The more attention you get media wise, the rankings go up. That makes sense, right? But
yeah.
now with the nil rule that they've implemented, do you think that's still the case?
I think we're gonna start seeing more people go to like HBCUs and things like that because it's starting to become wherever you can fit in, get in. Like
Yeah,
I don't think it's starting to matter about the name of the school anymore. We're in 2023 now. I mean, you can be seen anywhere at this point. Like
100%.
that's why people ask me out here like, "Yo, do you think this league gonna get enough coverage?" I'm like, "What? For sure. Like you can be seen anywhere across the world at
The
this point."
biggest continent in the world. Do they not know that?
Exactly. I
Yeah, I'm
know they
sorry.
don't. They probably don't. Nah, they don't. 'Cause, I mean, yeah. But I think the reason why we do see that like more people, more top athletes go to bigger schools is just because of like the tradition of it. So somebody has to be the first one to break that tradition and go to HBCU, something like that.
Okay. Would you encourage younger high school athletes to do that, to go that route?
Yeah, I mean, we all know that one of the first notable players, at least, to go straight from high school to the pros was LaMelo when he went from high school over there to Australia, and that was kind of like the first time we was like,
What?
in
Yeah.
this generation at least. I'm not talking about when LeBron did it or something like that, but like right now, that was the first time. So he changed that narrative and opened the door even for people like myself who went straight from high school to the pros for it to be a little more normal than it already wasn't, I guess. So just like he did it, somebody else has to do it for HBCU. Like, just go ahead and America. It's a lot of trendiness over there. They hop on trends a lot. So if one person does it, I feel like we'll see a lot of people.
Everyone does it.
Yeah,
All right. And then after you suffering from your injury, now you focused on recovery, right? Physically, mentally. And then we hear the news that you'll be in the BAL combine, which was so interesting. What? What informed that decision? I know I've been asking you this question, but honestly, like, how 'cause you were in the G League and you were like, you know what? Let me try myself out at the Basketball Africa League.
yeah.
What informed
Well,
that?
well, okay. So after the G League, that summer it was just kind of like I said, getting the rehab, and just getting my knee right and everything, and starting to train with my uncle, Chris Johnson, and Corey Smith. Just starting to train with those guys out there. Um, I remember the G League season was like getting closer, and I was kind of like a little bit in my head again as far as like what we were gonna do, where we were gonna go back this year, or things like that, and just kind of talking to a few scouts and a few teams. My dad was talking to my whole family. They kind of informed us about the BAL. That it was obviously a very new league in the continent of Africa. And when I first heard about it, that wasn't my very first time hearing about it, but it didn't dawn on me what it was. So when I first heard about it, I was like, it sounds super familiar. Then I go back to a year before that. I remember watching the BAL championship in my room when it was
Oh,
on
wow.
ESPN. Yeah, so I did have seen it before I heard about it. Obviously, I feel like everybody heard about it with J. Cole, but just right when that whole year. But
Yeah,
basically, they said like, hey, is your goal to stay around the NBA's league, right? And the G League's the NBA's league, and so is the BAL.
yeah.
And they said you can go try for something that's bigger than yourself. This league is new, and this is done right, this could be you could be that start to something like we just said to break a trend, um, coming to the BAL. So I had to go to the combine first, just because people haven't had seen me play in a few months by then, just trying to see how it was. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like okay, I killed it. You feel me? Like I don't even be talking like that, but I did good. Let's say that I did good, and it was not that I was or my dad was surprised, but I just think that we were so like it kind of gave me hope again. At least I'm gonna speak for
I
myself. It
like
was
that.
like like because people try to write you off after year when something don't go right, and I was like, I know I'm only I wasn't even 21 at the time at the combine yet, but I know I was 20, so I was like, I know it sounds crazy for people to be like, oh, you're too old or it's too late
Yeah.
for you to make it to the NBA, but I was like, I still got it. So that that was good for me just to have more confidence in myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because obviously now we know that you signed with the Cape Town Tigers, but were they the only team that approached you?
Oh, yeah, my shirt. My bad. Um, no, no. So there's 12 teams.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna lowball it, but I want to say we had about nine or so contracts.
Goodness. Goodness. Okay.
Yeah, it was it was good. It was like I said, that gave me confidence because all the teams coming up to me and just complimenting me about my game. It wasn't nothing. Not really nobody saying nothing about like, oh, your dad, because it wasn't. I mean, he wasn't playing, so obviously he was
Yeah.
there, but them all just talking about me and how they could, see fit. It was kind of at first, like I said, I haven't been recruited that way since high school. So in my junior year, so it was kind of overwhelming. I'm like, dang, it feels good, blah blah. But just trusting in my family, them looking over every detail as far as like everything, like location, team background, who don't like owner's background, just because we're people person first. So just like who would help me become a better man as well, and not just
Yeah.
be there for just basketball. Um, there was no better fit
Then the Cape Town Tigers.
than the Cape Town Tigers. Yeah.
But come on, Spoo, so you're not. Let's get in depth. You're not. You. The answer is very shallow. But like, what really informed that decision, right? Like, what was that thing when they were, obviously pitching themselves to you? What was that thing you're like, actually, this is the team for me, or this is the place where I'll play my best? What was it?
Man, my teammates and the coaching staff. It was that. I watched film on all the teams and the play style and did my history on the coaches. And we can start with Coach Ra. Um, just his background as being a Brooklyn guy. Just people like a lot of people telling me more stuff about him. How he's a real guy. He's not. A lot of coaches, not a lot. Some coaches, be on some weird stuff. People call him phony. So just knowing that he wasn't like that first, and that he's really serious about his
Yeah,
business and his success. And then looking at the team play, like, oh well, my bad. I almost, and then knowing that hearing about that coach, she
yeah,
was joining the team. Like I mean, his resume speaks for itself. Like that's the one thing that we have on this team that nobody else does in the BAL is Coach She with his experience and his resume. So just having him and then seeing the team style of like a lot of the guys are, younger guys on the team. I feel like compared to the other teams, they
okay,
play in a style that I feel like was the most Americanized. Like same way that I played, as far as like we run, I pass, we throw alley hoops, they dunk, we shoot, play defense. I feel like it wasn't going to take a lot of adjustment. And then to put the icing on the cake, coach told me that I would be, like the piece to the puzzle because he felt like they could have won last year. They was just missing a piece. They already was bringing in other guys like Josh, JD. So he was just saying
yeah,
if we can bring in this last piece, we feel like we complete the puzzle. And that was a lot to me because it felt like so genuine that he would, give me a chance to come help myself grow and the team, trying to win a championship and trusted me to be the point guard.
I like that. I like that. Well, welcome to South Africa. Obviously, you guys are based in Johannesburg, but you will get to see Cape Town. Obviously, have you been there before? Actually,
Nah. So when I landed and that day I seen you, that was my
yeah.
first hour in South Africa ever.
Wait, what? Come on,
I got
come on.
we got off the plane and we went to the mall basically. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
basically. Yeah. So that was my first time here.
goodness, right? So you made a tough decision by agreeing to play with the Tigers. This is your first time in the country, the first time living by yourself in a different country. Were there any fears surrounding that? Concerns, doubts?
Funny enough, uh, those things I feel like more of those things hit when I
Mhm.
landed, like when I was here. And I was like, I'm like, whoa. Like even on the plane, I was cool. I'm like, okay, it's gonna be dope. And then I landed. I remember just taking a second, like, all right, like this is what it is now. So I really think that the first day we stepped on the court helped me to get comfortable, just to like, okay, this is what I do. No matter where I
Nice.
am in the world, it's always gonna be this ball. So like, just do what you do. And my teammates had they so quick to get me adjusted and comfortable. Now it's like now I'm super glad and like I want to explore. We've been talking about where to go and things like that, but it definitely took me like a day or two to open up because I was missing everybody and just thinking about it. Like I'm looking at my friend's location, like yo, you're far away, bro. Man,
Different time zone. A whole different time zone.
all my people sleep right now. Yeah,
100%. Do you watch NBA games now? Because you have to wake
I
up early
can't.
in the morning.
I can't. It's like it'd be at like 2:30, 3 in the morning. I'd be like, nah, it's over
Exactly.
with. Yeah,
Okay, right? We have
I
to watch
feel
NBA games like that.
I feel the pain now. I definitely feel the pain.
Right? It's so crazy. It's
Yeah.
definitely crazy. So you mentioned that it only sank in that you're in a different continent, a different country as your friends and everything. Any culture shocks that you've experienced ever since you've been here?
Not any bad ones. I would say like just the terminology. Like I heard somebody say like
Is it the
go up to
language?
the robot. I was like, the robot? What's the robot? And they was like that, and they was pointing at the traffic, like the stoplight. And I was like, you talking about the stoplight? He was like, no, the robot. And I was like, what is a robot? So just like the robot and just like other things, I know the elevator is called something
A
else.
lift.
The lift. Oh man, that messed me up because I was like, where's the elevator? We don't know what the elevator is. I'm like, he was like, oh, you mean a lift? I was like, nah, I don't want an Uber. They was like, nah, the lift. And I'm thinking they talking about Lyft, like the other thing, the Uber. So it was funny.
That's so funny. Oh my goodness. Okay, so now you're signed with the Cape Town Tigers. You're a point guard, we know that. So we should expect you to, bring up the ball. We've actually haven't seen you play. I think the first time we're gonna be seeing you play is when you guys actually play in the Basketball Africa League.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Publicly, yeah.
That is so scary because again, nothing. Oh, you're not okay, okay, okay. I see some confidence.
Yeah.
But like, because here's the thing, right? Like it's one thing to practice and it's another thing to play competitively. The Tigers had the BAL qualifiers last year. They had a friendly with one of the top teams in the continent, Pedro de Luanda. And you only gonna get introduced to these teams at the Basketball Africa League. How does that make you feel?
Man, I guess that it just I'm not worried about it like in any negative way. I feel like even my first year going to the G League, it was my first year playing against teams and some guys who played in the NBA and things like that. So the way I look at it is every summer for the past 3+ summers, I know the last three for sure, I've been playing like every day with I mean just like like all the top guys, Ben and John Wall and just a lot of guys like back in the US who I feel like if I'm playing with these guys,
Yeah.
then I can play with anybody. I'm not saying oh this and that, but I'm just saying playing wise and being able to be in there like that doesn't worry me anymore because I've seen the best of the best in person, like the top players in the world. So that's why, and I know this the top players in the BAL that's gonna be playing here. So it's I feel like I wouldn't be here if I wasn't a top player either. So just like everybody else in our team is confident about themselves, confident in mine.
I like that. I like that. And then lastly, how would you introduce yourself to the basketball community in South Africa?
What you mean, like
No, no. How
me?
would you? How? Yes, you. You know, Sbusiso, Zaire Wade. Like, how would you
Right.
introduce yourself? How do you want people to receive you?
First of all, I'm Sibu Ciso. You know what I'm saying? That's my name. I got two Instagrams. One is Zaire. Okay, that's just for my branding and all that. But my other page is growing. I almost got 30,000 on there. It's called Sibu
What?
Ciso. Yeah, sibusisu.zwade. Y'all gotta follow me on there. I'm telling you. Wait,
Okay.
no. sibusisu.zw. There you go. Yeah. So
Okay.
but nah man, just for everybody to know me out here, man. I would just say just try to get to know me before you may put a certain image on me or however you may think I am. Because I know first of all, a lot of Americans in general who come over here, they've been telling me have a sense of entitlement, things like that. That's a bad representation. Can't speak for
Yeah.
everybody. That's definitely not me. And I'm just I'm a real chill, hardworking businessman. Like, I work hard on the court. I chill. If I'm not doing that, I got a lot of different things from my clothing brand that I started when I was 16 to other businesses I'm trying to start up, doing deals with a few different companies, working on stuff. So I don't really do much. I don't be causing no trouble. I stay out the way.
Yeah. I like
Yeah,
how you identify as a businessman. That's very interesting because we've been talking, you know, to you as an athlete, but like you're like, I'm more than that. I'm a businessman. And actually that's what athletes are, right? Because you play for a certain amount of months in the year, and then what happens to the other months? That's when you should
right.
actually be focusing on your business. I like that. I like that
Yeah.
a lot. Okay. Zaire, Spusi, so we have like a game for you. It's not really a
Okay.
game, like a rapid fire, just rapid fire questions to get to know you better as a
So
person.
how how much seconds in between I get to answer?
I mean, it's not time based.
All right,
It's not,
let's
yeah, it's
go.
not time based. Okay, so Nike or Adidas?
Neither. Way of weight only.
Ooh, okay. Soft plug. Say it again.
I said neither because it's a way of weight only.
Way of weight only. Okay, you guys
Yeah,
read that, right? Okay.
way of weight only.
Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
King.
Hmm, very interesting. You know why I asked this question, right? Because you're from Chicago, but
I know, I know,
obviously,
I know. That's why I laugh. I laugh. But I was born after 2000. Like I feel like everybody says that born after 2000. Like you ask a 90s, 80s baby, they gonna tell you Mike. You ask anybody else, they'll tell you LeBron. So I don't even want to say neither. The guy. I don't know. That's a hard one. I would say because I got the experience in my eyes. So out of those two, you feel me?
yeah.
But just watching film of Mike, he crazy too. So I don't know.
Okay. Wait, and Mike, just to clarify, Magic Johnson is your favorite basketball player of all time, or
Favorite? No, no, no. I'm biased to my pops, but Magic. But besides him, like that's why I don't count him because it's like okay, he's him. That's my favorite. But
yeah.
besides him, yeah, Magic, and then Chris Paul. Yeah.
Interesting. And then the third question: Miami Heat, Chicago Bulls, or LA Lakers?
Oh, I had some memorable moments in the Heat arena, man. So I'm gonna say Heat because like if you go on YouTube and you look up, everybody know that Ray Allen made that one 3-pointer to
Yeah.
in the championship. Yeah, but if you look, like if you watch the video after we done, you go back and it's gonna show you like the angles all around. Wait for one of the angles to show you where it's facing him, and you can see who's behind him. I was right there behind him with my hands up like this.
Wait, you are
So
behind. That's
right,
great. How old are
but
you? How old are you?
that's I was probably like 12 or 13. But
That's crazy.
that was my only game that I ever sat court. I sat courtside 2 games in a Heat arena.
Hmm.
Everybody's like, "Yo, you always sit courtside?" I'm like, no, hell no. But I sat 2 games. One, the game my pop's jersey was getting retired, and then that game, I just happened to be sitting there, and it happened. So that was my most
That is
memorable.
that's
Yeah.
such a memorable event. Um, and then number four, I need your top five point guards of all time in order.
All right. We're gonna go ahead and give it to Magic.
There you go.
I'm gonna go ahead and give it to Chris Paul. Uh, in my right in my books right now, right? I'm gonna say my
Okay.
books. We obviously got Steph. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm gonna put Steph three just as far as like Steph came. Like I remember Steph coming when I was like, at least 29 or 2009 or 2010. After I feel like
Yeah.
since I remember watching basketball, CP was like just coming to the league, so I always watch him. And boom. So yeah, those three. Let me think on my last two, so I don't miss nobody. This is the only thing. See, in my books, I'm gonna say I know you got Oscar Robertson. I know you got guys like that. You know,
Okay.
I don't want to disrespect none of the OGs. This is just my five. So I'm probably go with like I'm gonna put Dame at five. I'm just trying to figure out who's gonna fit at four.
That's very
I feel
interesting.
like
Okay.
yeah, Dame's so underrated. I feel like Kyrie at four because
Ooh.
Allen Iverson's a
Ooh.
two guard.
Yeah.
AI was a two guard, right? Yeah, so I ain't gonna put him in there, but that's how I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Magic, Chris, Steph, Kyrie, and Dame. That's my top 5 point guards.
That's very interesting. You know who I think is like underrated as a point guard?
Who that?
Tony Parker.
TP. Yeah, I like him.
I think he's such an underrated point guard. And he has like
Yeah.
4 rings. Crazy. Okay. Last question. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Humble.
Mm-hmm.
What's the word that's like? I'm trying to figure out the one word for this word. I mean, for this that I'm about to say. Like a word for that is like people that bring good energy. You know. He put me on the spot with this one. I feel like I thought it was gonna be the easiest question. It's the hardest one. I mean, humble. All right, you know what? I'm gonna say something else.
Okay.
I'm gonna say humble, entrepreneur,
Oh.
and yeah, and I'm gonna say singer. Now listen, wait. Before you ask me about that, let me just say something.
Wait, did you say singer or single?
No, singer. Yeah. Now
Okay.
listen, I got a good voice. You feel me? But I can't show everybody my talents right now because I'm losing my voice a little bit, and you know what I'm saying. We've been doing a lot of yelling and cheering in practice, and
Wow.
Salepe probably watching, so I don't want him to see my singing right now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Okay. All right.
I can sing
Spusi,
though.
so Zaire Wade, thank you so much for your time. We truly do appreciate it. Guys, this was Zaire Spusiso Wade. Don't get it twisted. Where can people
Yeah,
follow you, the entrepreneur, and you, Spusiso? Where can people keep up with you?
I'm promote. All right, man, y'all follow. This is my Instagram, Sibu Sisu, right there. You feel me? And then .zw. Follow that page. That's more of the page that I'd be like posting my life and my everyday. Like Zaire, my at Zaire is just business. Is real for business and whatever. But that's where you can keep up with me. And then my clothing brand is called Young DNA, but we hyphened it, so YNG DNA. Boom.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. All right. Thanks again for your time. If you guys have any more questions, please put them down in the comment section. If you like this video, please press that like button And don't forget to subscribe to keep up with more interviews with basketball enthusiasts around the continent. And yeah, guys, that's where we call it. My voice. My voice is tired now. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye. And that's it from us for this month's episode. Thanks for watching, listening, and being a part of this conversation. Don't keep it to yourself though. Share it with your friends and family, and let's all engage on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our handle is @FastBreakSA. To keep up with our latest episodes, be sure to subscribe. Thanks again, and we'll see you next month.